Good morning and welcome to Caffeinated Chaos. I am muting you, John, with all that dang background noise. Welcome to Caffeinated Chaos here with Road Dog Coffee Podcast, episode 24. What'd you say, Spencer?
I said it's already been chaotic this morning, right?
It has already been chaotic.
It's all your fault.
Adam kicked it off, started complaining.
It's all your fault.
I mean,
That's not unusual.
Roll the bean footage, damn it.
Yeah.
he gave me bad coffee.
Well, no, hold on. Got to roll the bean footage. His Majesty requested.
Thank you.
Time where when we say bean footage, it's like actually bean footage. Adam, you know what I mean?
That's right. Flick the bean.
Oh man,
Chad,
what's going on? We're
buddy.
Huh?
How you guys doing?
We're great. Chad, how are you, man?
Oh, wonderful. Woke up feeling just full of gratitude. I don't know why.
Chad is like 25 minutes down the road from me. Has never invited me to lunch.
Chad's like 12 hours and 25 minutes down the road from me, and he's never invited me for a sleepover. So, you know.
Sometimes Chad talks to me.
Sorry, guys. Sometimes Chad actually, the furthest I usually go from my house is the grocery store 4 minutes down the road. Otherwise,
is that
my
Lowe's
son
grocery
goes to school across the street. Lowe's, yeah.
Yeah, you can buy Road Dog coffee there.
Yeah, I drink the Black Dog.
Oh, just curious.
You need to get you some Smoking the Bandit, Chad. Order that. That stuff is like different level.
Yeah.
I'm quite terrified. So that Lowe's down the street has two. They have Long Haul and Black Dog.
Yeah.
The problem with me ordering coffee is we drink so damn much of it. We don't know when we're gonna run out until like, holy shit, we got to run to the grocery store to get more.
Well, how lucky
That's
for
why
you.
put a subscription on Road Dog.
There you go.
And
There
it
you
auto
go.
ships to you. You never forget it. We remember for you.
But every 3 days or so, we're buying a new bag, so it might just be worth
That's
it.
the second lesson I've given you chat last today. I just gave that lesson. I just gave Adam a lesson a little while ago. Any more lessons today?
Yeah, give Avery a lesson. Say hi, Avery.
The good news, though, my coffee tastes wonderful this morning.
Yeah, mine does too.
More than I can say.
Smoking the Bandit.
More than I can say.
And speaking of Smoking the Bandit, so
It's a great movie.
it is a good movie, and we're gonna be at Tony's show, Large Cars and Guitars, coming up in a few weeks, and good buddy John Schneider is the headline act, and my other good buddy Tim Phillips, who's like the top Burt Reynolds impersonator, is actually going to be there with John Schneider. He got invited by Tony to come to the show. He's bringing the Trans Am, and I think they're going to have it parked right beside our booth, the Road Dog Coffee and Road Dog Cigar booth, and he's going to be doing autographs on the Smoking the Bandit bags as people buy them.
Dude, Spencer, you got to hook Hunter and I up with him so we can get an interview with him, bro.
You need to bring Burt Reynolds back from the dead.
And I'm going to bring Tim. I mean, yeah, he said he'd come on the podcast and hang with us and shoot the shit anytime we want him to.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm talking about at Large Cars. Be cool to do an interview with him at the booth and in front of the car. That'd be pretty dope.
He actually did a film with Burt Reynolds. He's actually was good friends with Burt, and he's good friends with Burt's daughter. He's actually done a couple of films with John Schneider. And here's a little nugget that I didn't know that he told me about John. John Schneider was in Smoking the Bandit, the movie. So at the end of the movie, if you remember, I think it was the first one, when Jackie Gleason's coming back into the fairgrounds towards the end of the movie, and his tire comes off the car and it rolls and it hits this kid in the nuts, and this kid's got like a bowler hat looking hat on or whatever. That's John Schneider. John Schneider actually snuck in the movie set and got caught and said, "Hey, I'm an extra." When he really wasn't an extra. He just snuck in because he loved Burt Reynolds and Jackie Gleason. And when security called him, he was like, I'm an extra. I'm an extra. And they said, well, go to makeup then. Go to makeup. And that was John Schneider at the end of the movie. He got hit by Jackie Gleason's tire coming off his car.
Heck yeah, bro.
The things
Yeah, Tim can come on. He'll come on the podcast. He'd love to. He's a really good dude. He lives up in Georgia, outside of Atlanta.
Well, we can have him. We can do both. We can put him on bring him on the actual show, and then do a long form interview with him at Large Cars.
Yeah, hang out. Yeah, hang out.
Dude, I am so excited about the next month, bro. Like we got Large Cars and Guitars in 2 weeks. Freaking shout out to Multi-Service Fuel Card for supporting the lounge, getting us there, and then we are going to Will Jam Truck Show in South Dakota. Dude, I'm stoked about that. I've never been to South Dakota, man. Never. So really happy about just going to South Dakota. But that show seems like it's going to be like Large Cars and Guitars on an extended level. You know what I mean? It's like 4 days, dude. They got races and dynamic engine brake. That's what we have to call it. Dynamic engine brake contest. But yeah, man, it's going to be a great one. It's going to be a great month coming up here, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Justin, we ain't heard from you. What's up, bro?
Nothing much. Gonna be really busy next week. I got Broker Carrier Summit. Gord is giving a talk at Cornell University. He invited me to tag along with that, but I don't know if I'm going to make that because that's like a 5-hour drive.
Who is that? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Justin. Who invited you?
Gord's doing a talk.
Nice.
My plan was my panel is on Tuesday with Danielle at BCS, and then I was going to fly home and then drive up to Cornell to drive back. But a friend of mine reached out yesterday, and he's going to this convention in Atlantic City Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. AC is like half an hour from my house, and it's like a big lawyer convention. So I want to go down there and talk trucking with a bunch of lawyers down there.
Dude, that's dope. That's dope right there.
They have an entire on Wednesday. So I'm going to miss most of it, but Wednesday they have like an entire section of the convention just for trucking topics for lawyers.
Well, hopefully they're positive trucking topics, and not how can we put up more billboards along the interstate to get people to call us when they get hit by a semi truck.
It's a mixed bag. Part of it's like how to do depositions against drivers. It all depends like which side of the aisle you're on. So sometimes you have drivers as your defendants, and sometimes you have victims that you're trying to like help get compensated. So there's you can play either side of the aisle on this. She's doing well, Taylor. Taylor, I'm at Matt's. I'm in Taylor's RV, and I call my wife because I hadn't checked in a while. She answers, and then Taylor like snatches my phone. And he's God! Just, like chat with my wife. It's 3 a.m. Yeah, it was a fun chat.
Dude, Taylor is an absolute hoot, bro. I love Taylor, man. He's one of the greatest human beings I think I've ever met. We love you, Tay. Mr. Dickinson, how are you, man? We heard from you
this morning.
What's that, Spencer?
I was gonna say, how's Jeff doing this morning? Your hair looks a little darker. Did you dye it?
No, man. It is so gray.
Oh, it's the lighting. Okay.
That comes with experience. So.
Those are his racing stripes.
Getting there, Jeff.
The other side.
Racing stripes. I love it.
No, that comes in the next 10 years.
Yeah. Oh man.
No, doing well. Thank you. Working on several unique things, man, that I'm passionate about, and hopefully it's going to get fruition. Justin was talking about transportation and lawyers. The petition that I created over the last week, I've got some backing on that with some transportation lawyers. Because I wanted to make sure that I had all my ducks in a row and dotted the I's and crossed the T's on it. And I'm going to be submitting it to the state of New Jersey very, very soon. I think it's going to suppress fraud big time.
Yeah.
I really do.
If you guys ever need one of the top, very, very strong transportation attorneys, a good buddy of mine, Rob Mosley, lives in Greenville, South Carolina. That dude is a rock star. He actually used to work with, remember Hank Seaton? Is it Henry or Hank Seaton? They put the book out.
Yeah. Same, one of the same. Yeah, one of the same.
Yeah. So Rob used to do a lot of stuff with him, but Rob is really good. He used to be our attorney at Allstate Express, and We had to use him a couple times, and he's solid. So if anybody needs a good transportation attorney, hit me up at Spencer@roaddogcoffee.com, and I can share his information. But since you let the cat out of the bag, well, it's not the cat out of the bag, but I know last week we didn't get to the topic, and I know we're all dying to talk about it, the super ego thing.
Yeah,
That's still a thing.
it's always
I
going
heard,
to be.
I heard they changed their name.
Yeah, they changed their name, bro. It's not even super ego anymore.
How many times?
Sky Freight or
like,
something
no
like
shit.
that now.
They've already
Do what?
they've told their carriers to strip off the stickers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like they're
I've
a
heard they
completely
changed their name
different
or
truck.
something.
Blue Sky or Sky Blue or some shit.
No, yeah, it's it's something Sky. I think it's Sky Trans or Skyway or yeah, you're close. You and I are right there on
I
it,
think it's
Adam.
close to Sky Trans or something like that.
Yeah. It's and just think of how crazy, how nuts that is. That in the blink of an eye, how nuts and how easy it is. And in a blink of an eye, that company, I don't know, what are they, Justin? A couple thousand trucks, probably trailers, something like that.
So it gets fishy because Super Ego themselves, they just own the equipment, but it's like all the carriers underneath them that's operating their equipment. Most of those guys are small potatoes. I don't think there's any large carriers under Super Ego. I think
Well, at least
all,
with their
like,
trailers,
tiny
at least
guys.
with their trailers and stuff. That's a feat to try to do
Yeah.
that. And the fact
If
that
if they're going to rebrand all those trailers, I mean, they're paying a lot to strip all those signages off and slap new ones on.
and just and now we have found yet another loophole in the system, right? Because nothing's going to happen to these people, right? Nothing's going to happen to them. They're going to take all the stickers off their trailers or whatever it is. They're going to rebrand, use their new MC, and the same shit is just going to continue over and over and over again. So so here we go. Like here yet again, all this stuff comes in the media, all these stories on 60 Minutes, blah blah blah. Everybody's beating their chest about it, but nothing's going to be done.
It's the enforcement. Yep. The enforcement. I keep saying that it's the enforcement that matters, not the laws, not the exposure.
Have a good one, Taylor. Yeah. Well, that bill we talked about last night on the lounge for the news story. The Safer Act. That just finally, I guess, got put through in the House or Senate or whatever. Like it's finally there, introduced, so it's going through its paces. And that is going to give them the ability to do this. But now we're going to run into a different problem, because if they're understaffed to deal with the regulation and compliance right now, how the hell are we going to find the staff to start prosecuting people? Where are these lawyers going to come from? Where are these legal deposition teams going to come from? Rob Carpenter, if you listen, I would probably put in my resume right now for that.
Well,
so
didn't Duffy at Matt's? Didn't Duffy make the comment that they were going to pull some attorneys in off of from other
Bro, they can't keep the Department of Justice staffed. What?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, unless and see here's another my idea, which I think we should utilize or implement this idea across the government. I mean, I know this is going to be a weird thing to say because it can be abused, but we need to privatize some of this stuff, man. You know what I mean? Like
Absolutely.
We need to, I know people take advantage. There's a lot of fraud with government contracts, but there are a lot that are ran properly. You know what I mean? A lot of defense contracts and other contracts are ran right. And I think stuff like this, we got to start privatizing some of these things, man. I mean, link up with massive carrier corporations or brokerages or whatever that have the law departments and legal departments behind them and the expertise, right? We're going to pull attorneys from the DOJ who have been prosecuting murderers and rapists, and now we're going to take them after truck drivers. Just using a contrast.
So what you're
thing
saying
right
is we need to hire Morgan and Morgan. Because they're for the people.
Yeah. You do. Hey, maybe that's what we do. We just go up and down the highway and look at all the billboards for the people that want to screw truck drivers and hire them to help the truck drivers.
You don't even have to go that far,
dude.
Look on Michael Castagnetto's LinkedIn. There's plenty of yelling at him on there.
They need to send some tier 1 operators over to Serbia and snatch those sons of biscuit eaters out of there and bring them up here.
No, we don't need to do that. What we need to do is and we've all talked about this, we need to make it to where you cannot operate a logistics or transportation entity in this country if you do not live here.
Right.
Prove
You
like,
possess a
Them
card
are-
and
yes.
have a U.S. address.
yes.
Yeah.
And I would go a step further. all of your C-suite, everyone that is in any control of this, I don't care if it's your law team, your compliance team, if they are in a high-ranking leadership position, they also have to live in America. You can have your back office staff wherever the heck you may want. Oh, go ahead, Justin.
Not far enough. They need to be at least U.S. citizens or at bare minimum naturalized U.S. citizens, because anyone can get an address.
Thank you. That's a good one, Justin. Thank you.
There's a lot of companies offshore, like Stanley Tool. I mean, they're not even headquartered in the United States. I mean, there's a lot of companies offshore for tax reasons and insurance reasons and other reasons, but.
Yeah, but we can't prosecute them. That's the thing. That's where they're getting this safety from. We can't go over there and do anything to these people, so they can just keep doing whatever they want.
But I think the thing is, if you're if you're a company who's tied to commerce and you're heavily regulated by the federal government, like trucking is, then I think that's not too much to ask. That you're headquartered here. Your folks are, your C-suite folks are here. That's not too much to ask, because trucking is tied directly to the economy. Trucking goes away. I mean, or there's a mass exodus of truck drivers and trucks because of illegal activity or whatever. That's going to make a major impact on the economy and your prices and everything like that. So I think that anything tied to the economy that can truly disrupt the economy. Go back to COVID. Look what it did when trucks were coming off the road during COVID. I mean, and you remember years ago when UPS went on strike, and the post office of FedEx couldn't pick up a half of the volume that UPS did. Remember that? Like, this was like, what, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, whenever it was.
Somewhere around there, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you have something that's tied to the economy like that can truly create a massive disruption for the citizens. Yeah, no, the rules are different for you, brother.
I think too, the whole like prosecution aspect, FMCSA just does not have enough people, period. There's 300 investigators at that place with, I think, 1,200 employees total. Yeah. It's going to take outside agencies at IRS, DHS, Department of Labor, et cetera, that are going to have to talk with guys like us that can teach them how the industry works. Because, let alone DOT or FMCSA, nobody there has a background in trucking. They're all lobbyists and lawyers. And so I doubt very much anyone at the IRS or Department of Labor has ever had a CDL. So there are infinite number of criminal cases that they could be building in the trucking sector. They just don't know the industry, so they don't even know what to look for. If they do make cases, it's usually accidentally through some other case that they're prosecuting.
Look at what's going on right now. I don't think we've ever had an FMCSA administrator like Derek Bars.
Never.
Like we have finally gotten a guy who has been there day in and day out.
Who cares?
Inspecting trucks, taking trucks off the road, and cares. And look at what's happening to FMCSA. It is making strides.
The very first head at the agency was a trucking executive, and every single leader after him has been nothing but lawyers and lobbyists.
Yeah,
and we see the result.
Well, and I don't think that trucking's ever been under the spotlight like it is now, at least on the mainstream media. It's never had this kind of exposure ever in the history, except for maybe regulated years ago. But
your concern is that it's just going to go by the wayside in another 30, 60 days. The news cycle is going to flip and we just disappear again.
I agree.
Did you guys see the debates in California last night?
Yeah.
So they're doing the primaries for the governorship and
the gubernatorial.
Yeah, governor race. And it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 6 people up on stage all getting questions. And they brought up English language proficiency for truck drivers. And I haven't read all the responses yet from everybody there, but there's a couple that were responding saying, yeah, we're going to defend the truck drivers who can't speak English. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
I guarantee you Steve Hilton wasn't one of those that said that. Probably Mark Steyer. He probably said it.
I don't know any of these people. So whether they have X accounts or not, typically what I do is if I see a politician that's talking trucking, I'll search their name on X and find like their staffers, and then
Right.
like ping their staffers accounts, because you're never going to
Right.
be able to talk to these people directly. But usually, if you find their staffers or the director of communications, and you tell them like, hey, they need to be focusing on this or that, they'll actually reach out to you and see what's going on.
At Halloween, do you ever dress up like a troll? At Halloween,
Me?
You like to troll?
No.
people, don't you?
I dress up as Fat Thor from Avengers. That's my Halloween costume for like the last 7 years.
Justin's on next, like, oh god, dude, look at that, just trolling the hell out of people. No, I mean that's good that you do that though. Really, it really is. I mean, it's whenever you hear these politicians start talking trucking like that, and they start, voicing their opinions, and it's really disturbing to hear those guys last night. Oh, they're for the non-English speaking drivers. No. Why?
Well, when the wreck in
You just
Florida happened
contradicted
last
everything
year,
that we're trying to get done.
yeah, when the wreck in Florida happened last year, Ron DeSantis like goes up on the podium and he's saying like, "Oh, these California drivers and California this and California that. We don't do this in Florida." I was like, "You fucking idiot! You guys issued like 210,000 non-domicile, so they call them limited term CDLs in Florida
that aged like milk."
Oh yeah. So I find his communications director on Twitter. The guy has his DMs open, thank God. So I'm sending him screenshots of like the MCMIS database and everything. I'm like, you guys, if I'm your political opponent, I'm taking everything DeSantis is saying right now, and I'm going to make him fucking eat those words, in the next race. And they were like immediately responsive. They're like, oh sweet, thanks for bringing this to our attention, because they as soon as they start opening their mouths and they start talking about these issues and they don't know what they're talking about, they can very easily fall into these traps.
So J-Mart is single-handedly responsible for DeSantis enacting the new law that states that if you're operating illegally in the state of Florida with non-dom CDLs, it's a $50,000 fine and they tow all your shit. Way to go, Justin.
Thank you. Patriot. Oh, when I went to Tim Pool's podcast earlier in the week, I was telling them like all the stuff I was doing behind the scenes. Every single response from like them and the chats, everything was just Patriot.
I need to go watch that. That's on Rumble, right?
Yeah. So I did 3 different shows there. I did like their pre-show, the show, and then their like premium stream. Only the pre-show and the premium stream did I ever actually have a chance to talk trucking. The main stream itself was just them like yelling at each other about the headlines. I didn't really get much into. I was warned about that earlier by previous guests. They're like, yeah, the live show's kind of a shit show if you're trying to like get in there and like talk about stuff. But it was fun. I had a great time. He's got a really cool little compound there. I felt like I hadn't felt like more of a truck driver in my life since I got out of the truck than when I arrived there. You pull up to his house and there's like a big privacy gate. And you got to like ring the doorbell. Security guy comes up to me. And he's like, "Who are you?" And I was like, "I'm supposed to be a guest on today." He's like, "Well, no one told me." I was like, "Oh, Jesus Christ. It's like being a truck driver again. You show up to a place and they don't have your appointment or whatever." But no, it was fine.
Your appointment's not till tomorrow, buddy.
Yeah. Oh, the security guy was like, I get out of my van and we're chit-chatting and stuff. And he's like, I'm not trying to be rude or nothing, but like, he's like, I don't watch YouTube. I don't do any of the online stuff. So he's like, if you're like some famous guy, he's like, I just don't know who you are. I was like, dude, I'm just a truck driver. He like immediately was like,
I'm just a truck driver with a sexy beard.
But I'm like trying to imagine like bigger guests that they've had on, being like all these like prima donnas and shit. So I just show up and I'm like, yeah, I'm just some truck driver, and he like immediately relaxed, and it was fun. Oh, what was really funny too was as soon as the stream ended, Tim's like, okay, I'm going to bed, and he just like disappears. Guys like him, Dooner, like all these like big podcast guys, they are such introverts, like in person. Like when they're on camera, they're like super high energy and everything. As soon as the camera's off, they are just dead. They are white. I was the opposite. I get like turbocharged talking with people. So I didn't even get a hotel for the night. I just drove straight home after the show.
Talking to himself.
No. My friend Hans, was texting me like while I was driving. I was like, I'm driving.
Justin, we need to get you a CB in the fucking Pacifica, bro. That's what we got to do. We got to get you a CB in the Pacifica.
I miss having a CB.
I need to put one in my car, bro. Like, I mean, how funny would it be to have a big old? Yeah, man. I don't know. I still have my OG Cobra LTD that my wife bought me in like 2009. So
the old Cobras, I remember those.
Yeah. those things, it's nice, man. It's old
I
Army
wonder
edition.
how many drivers really use CBs anymore. You know,
Not as much as they
Yeah,
used
about
to.
to say, yep. From what I've heard, not very many. Mm-hmm.
nah.
It's a couple of things. One is like hardly anyone speaks English on them anymore, and then when you do have it on, it's just fucking Mud Duck on there. Is he still like a scourge out there?
I don't know. Don't ask me, dude. I could not tell you. But I remember there used to be a whole bunch of them out there, man. Like you would just get their bullshit for like 100 miles, dude. You know what I mean? It was just absolutely ridiculous, man. There was one guy in Texas that used to do that crap up by Dallas Fort Worth or near Weatherford. Used to drive me nuts.
My friend Drew had like an old Cobra unit that he like sent to some guy, and he like juiced it all up and everything. And so he wasn't like Mud Duck or anything, but if he wanted to, he could always just like fucking key that mic and just blast, the International Space Station.
Mine wasn't crazy power. I think I got like 8 miles out of mine. Or 10 miles. I don't know. I just watched a YouTube video, man. They're pretty simple to tune. I mean, once you get to like adding like capacitors and stuff to it, you obviously have to know how to solder stuff. But just tuning them, you can just look up a YouTube video, take the top off, little bitty screwdriver, tweak a little bitty things, get you a good antenna and some coax cable. Good to go, buddy. Back
when I saw All State Express, and I was driving that straight truck, that old Isuzu cab over budget straight truck back in the mid 90s. I got a CB. I don't remember which one I got. It was a local CB shop not far from here, and I used to love to hear the guys. I mean, just watch out for the bubble gum in the pasture. The bubble gum, the cop sitting there, the bubble gum machine. What
was your CB, Justin? And if y'all watching, comment. What's your favorite CB? Who out there got some General Lees, some Galaxies? Let's know. Justin, what did you have?
Mine was just like some bare bones Cobra unit. I only used it for like 2 years because once I left Schneider, I was out of the truck, and then when I was hauling explosives, we weren't allowed to have a CB in the truck because it could set off the explosives in the load.
Set off the boom booms.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and then driving for the post office, you're a local driver.
Every time you drive through a construction site where they're blasting, what does it say?
Turn off your CB.
It says turn off CB and any two-way radios.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you say that about local, man. Like I never got that with the local people, dude. When I was local, when we were at McLean, you had drivers like we would carry our CBs with us because a lot of times you would slip seat. But like, dude, local driving is where you really, really need it. I mean, you need it down the road, but I can tell you how many times, man, jump on a CB and you catch a local gravel hauler. I'm like, hey, man, like, dude, I don't know how to get around here. What to do? Oh, man, just swing through Walmart parking lot, and so. I don't know. I never got the thing about not having them as a local driver. I found more use in it as a local driver than I was when I was OTR.
What better question?
What was your CB handle? There were enough of us out there for the post office that we would just call each other on our phones if we needed something.
Yeah.
Well, better question is, what was your CB handle, Pedro?
Mine was just simple, dude. It was just airborne because I just got out of the Army. It was just fucking easy, man. I never put much thought into it. I for a short time, I called myself Texas Pete, but I ran into another guy that his name was Texas Pete, and dude, I hate to say it now, but he looked like me if I would have stayed in trucking for like 30 years. Dude was like 380 pounds, a beard like Justin's, but solid red. I mean, dude, he was a big old boy, but he had been trucking longer than me. And so, if you meet someone with your same CB handle and they've been trucking longer than you, it's probably not the thing anymore, but you have to change CB handle.
Hey,
that's why Jeff lost the CB handle mystical mustache.
So I never knew this, but you're not supposed to give yourself your CB handle. It must be bespoke on you.
You are right. You're totally right.
What is the best handle you've ever given somebody?
I don't know. I've never given anyone one.
Mystical mustache.
We need to get a shirt made for Jeff that's just a picture of his mustache like across his chest and it says mystical mustache on it.
Or like a CB mic with like a big handlebar mustache.
Yeah.
There you go.
Hey Joe, where Texas Pete's headquartered, right?
No.
Yeah, North Carolina.
Oh no,
right here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Yeah, no, that's why we don't use that shit. That's why we don't use that shit here in Texas.
They got sued for misadvertisement.
Yep, and that's why we don't use that shit here.
Dude, so you can't use a cowboy, you're not from Texas. They won that lawsuit, by the way.
Of course they did.
It's
the same guy. There's a guy that goes around that just files frivolous lawsuits.
Yeah.
he's a genius. I mean, I would have done it too if I'd ever thought of it, because he's made so much money just on stupid settlements.
Yeah.
Agree with you there, Douglas. Should make him mandatory on the CB.
We should all sue Jeff for having that mustache is
looking too damn good at that age.
Yeah.
I think we should all sue Road Dog Coffee Company for not getting us our coffee mugs.
Coffee, I know that's right, bro. We're gonna start leaving you bad reviews, Spencer.
Bring it. No. Adam, check your mailbox soon, buddy.
I want my moose shit cup. That's it.
It's coming.
I don't even get. Go ahead.
I never had a CB handle. I always just went by like the name of the truck or whatever trailer I was hauling. But my friend Danny down in Florida, she's a oversized hauler, and every company she goes to, she quits whenever she gets like a new opportunity at some other company to haul something even bigger. So I told her, I was like, your CB handle is size queen, and she absolutely loved it.
Meanwhile, Justin's over here. Breaker 19. This is truck 4623-4.
No,
it was always just like, get out of the way, Schneider. You're in the way. So
I will say that my favorite, the trailer thing was what everyone said, because that's how I usually saw people's trailer. But I drove for Lisa Motor Lines, was the first company I ever drove for, and they were a subsidiary of FFE, so we pulled FFE trailers. And I don't know how this happened, but I loved that no matter what part of the country it was, no matter what race, creed, ethnicity, whatever it was of the person that was on the other end of that CB, they always sounded the same. And it was, would you get the fuck out of the way, FFE? Dude, every time. Because we only did 63 miles an hour, but it was always FFE.
Wait, oh shit. No, this thing.
Here's a joke. We did this one a few weeks ago about CRST messing with Chad. Does anyone know what FFE stands for? Finally found employment.
Oh.
I don't know if they're still a bad company. I don't want to talk about
there's a couple out there like that. You know, Swift stands for swing right. Swing wide, it's an effing truck.
Yeah, stop whining. I'm fucking trying.
Prime is, please remember I'm Missouri educated.
Back when we did a lot of stuff with Yellow, well, they're at Overland Park, their Yellow Exact Express product on the expedite, they would always refer to ABF as always blocking freeways.
That's right. That is definitely right.
I mean, listen, look, I'm just going to throw it out there. The LTL carrier I see in the most accidents is FedRex.
Oh, yeah. Dude, totally, bro. You know what I think? And I don't understand it with them, man. And it's always their doubles trailers. Always the doubles, man.
Up on 80 across Ohio.
Yeah, they get squirrely.
Yeah, man. I never want to do it.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine locking up while you're pulling doubles? What's going to happen?
Dude, hey,
in my opinion, I think that was one of the worst ideas that trucking's ever done, is create doubles and triples.
I can agree with that in a sense. And if we think that's bad, I don't know if they still do this in parts of the country, but when I was driving, they still had a thing called turnpike doubles, which was double 53s.
Yeah,
that shit?
Florida.
Yeah. Remember that stuff?
Frito-Lay, they still haul those.
Think about up in Canada with our friend Bill. They got freaking B trains, man.
Yeah, but I could see it up there though. Like, I mean, like up there in like Canada, Australia, that stuff makes 1,000% sense as far as things are away from each other, and is, you know, the little orders that people get. Like, I get it up there, and I would say Canada probably has the more open roads and stuff to be dealing with those type of things. Yeah. You know what I mean? But, you know,
there's a professor on TikTok who did like a bunch of trucking videos last year, and he's got a new one out now, and they're talking about how countries like Norway, Sweden, etc., they are just completely stomping us when it comes to like freight capacity. So they just passed a bunch of new laws, and their trailers are like an extra 10 feet longer than ours, and they can put up to, I think, I'm probably going to script the numbers here, but on the box they can put 168,000 pounds.
Yeah,
on the box.
Yeah, we've had people talking about that.
And they're like, why won't we do that here in the U.S.?
Yeah, how many axles? I mean, is it still?
Oh, they're a lot. It's like 5 axle trailers. Like they're pretty hefty units. Right. Yeah.
But the trucks that they have, you know, they can haul. Their capacity in their trucks is a lot bigger. But what guys like that don't realize is, one, like the average skill of the driver here in the U.S. is like just through the floor. So do you really want to trust the guys that are out there crashing right now to have, double the weight on their trailers? Also, our bridges are falling apart. You fucking sneeze at a overpass and it just crumbles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get the economic numbers, because they're like, if we were able to double the capacity of like most of the trucks in the U.S., the cost per mile for like every little piece on that truck would like drop by like some crazy number. So yeah, you got to pay a little extra for the driver because you need somebody with a little bit more skill. But the benefit of that, of like the per unit cost to like move it per mile, is like just, it falls off a cliff.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what they'll have the autonomous trucks do going forward. I don't know.
John, all I ever do is see you driving cars, bro. Did you get the truck unlocked?
Yeah, I got the truck unlocked. I'm heading back to the shop now to finish off.
Yeah.
Good.
Someone locked themselves out of the truck.
So probably the best part about this is, for some reason, I work for a company that didn't think they needed spare keys to every truck they have. So it's makeshift, and let's hope this one works, and let's hope that one works. So I got lucky. I had a spare set to another Freightliner from the same year it happened to work.
I was about to say, dude, I remember that was one good thing about driving for like bigger fleets when they all have the same truck. If you lock yourself out, you just go ask one of your buddies. It won't start the truck, but it'll get you in the damn door, dude. Yes.
Schneider, I think we had like 6 different keys for like their entire fleet. So if you locked yourself out, there'd just be some guy in the parking lot.
The last company I drove for, I had 2 sets of keys. I used to always leave a key in my ignition, and then I always kept a key in my pocket. So when I got out, I just, leave everything in there, lock the door, and go away. But one time I had left both my keys in there, and I had a Freightliner Cascadia, and I just went like 4 trucks over to a random guy that had a Freightliner, and I asked him what year it was. It was the same year, and I was like, dude, can I please try your key and see if it unlocked my door? And it fucking worked. It was great, but at the time I was sitting here thinking like, holy crap. If I'm some crazy person, all I got to do is just get a Freightliner Cascadia key and just walk around and start checking people's doors until it opens.
At the post office, we used it wasn't remote start, but we didn't have like a key to turn the truck on. It was like a little RFID badge, and you had to like wave it on like this certain hot spot on the dashboard.
Oh, that's crazy.
And sometimes it just flat out wouldn't work, and you'd have to call like the road guys out there to come fix it, and that was always a huge pain in the butt. But I was just thinking, like, if they tried to do that at like a mega carrier, I can't imagine how many guys they'd have to come out there and like rescue trucks. When it worked great, because no one can steal the truck. You can't start it without the special key. But when in that 0.001% time where it doesn't work, it's always like in the worst spot.
Bill, where's Shimmy?
Guys always leave the shit at home.
Yeah, guys take the keys home with them.
Did you send her an invite this morning? I want to fight about hockey.
No, I didn't. I didn't send her an invite. I will.
I'm going to hazard a guess, Adam, that right now at this point, it's 6:44. That you were correct yesterday that she is still sleeping.
Okay, thank you.
I did, in fairness, I came in this morning. The rest of the conversation, I did have a very good chuckle at 7:30 this morning. So, thank you both for that.
Let's just all admit that the Boston Bruins suck.
I know I jumped in late, but when you look at it, long commercial vehicles in Canada, or LCV for their short form acronym, it took time before this was allowed. And I worked at a company that was the first one to put a 60-foot unit on board with a 10-foot, basically the equivalent of a container that would sit on a cab over, that went through 2 years of testing with Walmart and the carrier before it was actually provided, then LCVs came on. Now, one thing about LCVs in Canada, to your point, Justin, is in order to run LCVs, several things have to happen. Because you are dragging 253-foot trailers. Dry vans are not. They have to have 10% less weight in one trailer versus the other. They have to have approved on-ramps and off-ramps. They have to have approved yards for parking and working. And then at the same time, the company that's going to run these has to have a fully trained LCV manager on staff to train all the drivers, to make sure all of the actual equipment and everything else runs in a certain manner. If that doesn't exist, then the company cannot use an LCV or extended tandems.
Yeah.
If that helps you understand what we do in Canada and how it gets done. And no, it just doesn't happen in every province.
Yeah. I'm sure. Well, are those companies that do all those efforts, are they the ones like that what do they call it? Driver Inc. is what they call it in Canada.
So again, when you look at it, because there's been a lot of people reaching out to me from the U.S. with respect to the dry brinkage that's been dumped. So I happen to be a moderator on a panel which was discussing the safety with respect to it. I use the term misclassified driver. I don't like the term de-ink. And it was also labeled at one particular, I think, immigrant community where meanwhile there's more people that are using misclassified drivers. So it's been going on for too long in Canada. Now at this point, the change in federal governments, they have been aggressively going to shut it down from a safety and more importantly, a tax standpoint. Because what happens with misclassified drivers is they're still company drivers driving company equipment, but they're not actually paying taxes.
Nope.
The company's not paying the benefits of WSIB. So our Canada Revenue Agency now is investigating 32 companies alone right now, and they've issued the first fine in one of the provinces, is my understanding. I don't have concrete proof, so I'm not going to speak to that portion. The difference is that I will share, Justin. So in the United States, you guys have a term called 1099. And we all read about it and know it because salespeople use 1099 as an independent agent contractor. In Canada, we don't have the same rule. We do have agents, but they have to work for more than one to be truly classified as an agent. You can't be a 1099 working for an LDI, HD ships, or you can't even set up or be a 1099 inside of a Landstar. In Canada, you have to have more than one. In the United States, it seems like they've bent this rule when you look at it, and you guys can help shed more light on it for me to understand it more as well. But if the carriers right now, they're pushing the cheap freight out there, if they're using a 1099 status with their drivers, they're not paying taxes like the dry rinks aren't. They're misclassified, which means at that point, essentially that company mostly is looking at doing immigration as opposed to transportation. And because nobody's paying taxes, they can run for 33%. Well, at least the number up here in Canada has been 30 to 33% less than a company like us that pays salary and bonuses, benefits. So automatically, if the company has a 30% less cost, they can run cheaper freight. We got that. US and Canada both have this taking place right now. Our concern was, and the reason why our industry has been taking more of an aggressive approach to it with the government, is if they're cutting corners on paying taxes and immigration and things of that nature, then they're likely cutting corner on safety.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, no, that's like almost one-to-one what's happening here in the U.S. because all these bankruptcies that we've seen amongst, multi-generation legacy carriers that have existed in this market for decades, that know the cycles, they're just getting absolutely wiped out because they cannot, just number-wise, they cannot compete on pay. If I own my trucks and I'm paying for the fuel and I'm paying my driver wages and the benefits and all that, I'm up against, these guys from any number of countries that are extracting the money from the drivers. They charge them for the truck. They charge them for the fuel. I saw one lease purchase agreement that was like 11 cents per mile for like tire wear and tear. That doesn't go into like a fund to buy tires later on. That's just they're charging you 11 cents per mile for wear and tear on the tires.
And they're booking you on $1.50 a mile freight.
Yeah.
Correct. So, that's the nice thing about it, though, is with some of the things that you're looking at. So obviously, from my standpoint, on this particular screen right now, I've known Jeff the longest. We've known each other now, I guess, coming up on 4 years.
Well, I mean, you're basically both octogenarians, so that's fair.
I'll look that word up later, but yes, I understand old is what you're saying, basically. When we first started connecting and I first started writing in 2023 about fraud and stuff like that, I met Dale and Jeff, guys from Highway and everything else, early in 2023. When we look at what took place from that until current right now, there's been absolutely no control, no recourse for the actions they've been taking. And awareness is great, which is what basically mostly what I did was bring awareness to people to say, look what's actually happening. And don't just take a COI and understand and think your freight is covered, because it's not. The exclusions in the contracts right now with these cheap freight companies, they basically run facility insurance. And a facility insurance has 7 to 14 exclusions in it. And meanwhile, brokers are getting hammered with this right now.
On that subject, I did some customer education recently talking about insurance. and they didn't understand why we would charge a premium for full value insurance. And I explained, I said, the industry standard, that certificate says 100,000, but every single company is going to have a tariff in place that says, oh, well, we only cover $1 a pound on this good up to this amount, or we cover 50 cents a pound on this. I'm like, if you dig down and you deep dive into it, you're going to find that pretty much 99% of the freight you're moving is undervalued on the insurance.
Yep.
And they're like, well,
Yeah.
why would companies do that? I'm like, I don't have the answer for that. I'm just telling you it's happening. And I said, you know, we offer full value insurance on every single one of our loads because of that.
You know, when you look at it, that's the other thing is in Canada, and this is where a lot of U.S. brokers have been caught in the past. And when they reach out to me, they're like, what is this $2 a pound? Well, it's standard insurance in domestic Canada. It's also standard insurance when you're leaving Canada, the United States. So when we deal with Carmack in the U.S. versus our insurance here in Canada, yes, as brokers and carriers, we have to start looking at declared value. And when the company wants true declared value, to your point, Adam, most companies can't provide that. So it comes down to if the carrier has 150 and we're covering 300,000, then as a broker, we're putting a rider insurance policy in place, just like Landstar, to make sure that that freight is fully protected. But by the same token, there's a charge and a cost to that. So, you know, you want to go with cheap freight, and then when it gets busted or you don't see it and or it gets damaged, and then you don't have a claim because the exclusion in there says, you know, if it was lost on their truck, lost on their dock, or lost on another carrier's dock, then that means the company's not going to pay for it. You have to actually have the owner pay for it. Good luck.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
you know, we offer LTL insurance too, which a lot of brokers in the United States are starting to do. We've been doing it for quite a while. You know, for $25, we'll give you full value insurance up to 25,000. And when you're talking about LTL shipments, most usually that's incredible, right? Like,
Yep.
it's just unheard of.
Here's an idea: make the manufacturers have a contingent cargo policy that, you know,
Contingent cargo is bullshit.
Well, it is, but if you want to help get, because you know the new thing is that insurance is going to go up on drivers to 2 million or whatever, right? That's going to wipe out a lot of people. But if they put, I mean, I think that trucking companies should have capped insurance, and then whoever owns the goods that's being hauled has to cover up to beyond whatever.
That would be
Spence,
nice.
In fairness, Spence, there's lots of companies in the high value goods sectors that they do self-insure.
Oh, they do.
You know, one of our Fortune 5 companies up here and one of the largest retailers in Canada, they self-insure their freight. So having worked with them for as many years, if there's a challenge, like, I haven't worked with them many years, but one time when fraud was just starting to take place and starting to grow, they had a trailer that was basically stolen at a yard in Michigan. FBI, local state, everybody was there, all cameras, all was documented. As soon as I obtained that information and sent it to them, they take over 100% at that point.
Right.
So there is people that are self-insured. And to your point, the problem is the SME shippers, no, they're pushing everything down on the carrier or the broker because they're the experts and believe it's their liability. The one Spence I don't agree with, that I'm sure most people on here that have been around as long as they have probably don't agree with, is a shipper is responsible for loading the truck. He's doing the loading.
Right.
Yet at the end of the day, if it's not an SLC shipment, shipper load and count is the only exception. Everything else falls back on the driver of the company to make sure the freight is secure. Why does the shipper not have more of a liability to make sure the freight is secure before the driver even looks at it? And then take it to the next level, Spence. What happens now when the facility has a rule the driver's not allowed on the dock?
Right.
You're going to seal the trailer after you load it.
Blind loaded. So we used to make our drivers write on their, shipper load and count if it was, on every freaking thing, and to get them to sign it if you could. But because we've had incidents and everybody's experienced that, you got, like you said, Bill, that drivers aren't allowed on the dock. They got to go in the driver's lounge or stay in their truck or hang out in the parking lot, whatever. And it's blind loaded.
And then you have an OSD.
It's always that freaking skid in the fucking middle that's damaged.
But hold on. Hey, Bill, talking about SLCs, right? overall, the driver is responsible for that load and how it looks. And if it's an SLC and that trailer is listing, that driver has the right to bump that dock supervisor.
No, he does, and they should verify. Drivers should check their shit before they pull away.
We'll clip the seal. I want you to re-level this or reload it, and we'll put a seal, and we'll note that on the bill of lading.
Yeah.
Here's the original seal. We broke it, reloaded it. Here's the replacement seal. But they have the right, just because they load it and put it into a lot. If that driver doesn't inspect that vehicle before he picks it up, hey, that falls on the driver. But
that's why I always hated doing dropping hooks, because you show up, drop your empty, go to the lot, pick up a load. Seal's already on the trailer. You don't know what it looks like inside there. It could be
drivers
have that inspected. You can.
Drivers definitely should do their part to, when they pull away, before they shut their doors and seal it, whatever. Check, just jump up in there, check, make sure everything looks good. Yeah, I mean they've got to do their part too, but you can't inspect that skid that's over. You got a 53-foot trailer that's loaded with skids on the floor. You can't see that one in the middle that's been damaged because the guy stuck it with the forks and just put it in there anyway. You can't see that kind of stuff. So there's
one thing I will caution to your comment, Jeff, and Justin is correct. If you go and open up SLCs or ask them to open up SLC, then the driver in the company now has a different liability potential. Whereas under an SLC, remember, the shipper is 100% liable at this point. If he's loaded incorrectly, wrong count, or any of that stature, anything that happens with that load on the highway, the shipper is going to be liable for it now, because he's the one that actually never gave the driver the ability. So I would check with your legal counsel before you go get drivers opening up SLC loads, because you could be taking on another liability as a carrier or a broker that you don't want to have.
No, I did that. I definitely, got advisement from transportation attorneys, corporate ones, on that, because, I was always proactive in looking at that. Hey, if I'm not present and my guys happen to load that trailer and they put that seal in it, do the drivers have the right to look at that? And when you look at the responsibilities of a driver, it clearly states, right, that all drivers are responsible for that load and how it's loaded, even if a flatbed or it's a drive-in or whatever. Ultimately, they're responsible. And if that thing's listing and they've got, let's just say they've got 33,000 on the left side and 7,200 pounds on the right side, and that baby's listing, they're going to
right. So you're bringing up a great example. So what happened in one case with a large. Is that me?
No. Hey, whoever's
I don't know who that is.
So whatever.
Hold on. No, keep talking. I'm gonna just start muting people. Keep talking.
Okay. Well, in one case, you're correct. So what happened with an SLC real live example was after the carrier picked up the shipment. At that point, they went across the scale. Fortunately, the scale was only about 25, 30 miles away. At that point, they found out they were over on the drive axle.
Right.
We went right back to the shipper. They opened up the freight. They had the report. They reloaded the freight and then resealed the trailer. Of course, rewrite the new seal number now and change the old seal number just as if it was inspected at an inspection state. And then at that point, across the scale, everything's fine. Off he goes.
Right.
So you're not wrong, but they can tell because they have to go across the scale anyways.
Correct.
So they're going to tell if they're overloaded that way. But again, the liability and all the cost, because now at that point, the carrier, rightfully so, with the additional cost, they requested $390 plus fuel, and we passed it back to the shipper because it was their fault for the way they loaded it.
Yeah, but I mean,
Richie had a good point about the shipping containers. I went to the port in Philly, and I would pick up 20-foot containers, and you get on the scale to check out. Just the box would be like 120,000 pounds. So fortunately, we're not going very far. We're only going to the warehouse there to get it unloaded. But
still,
every one of those heavy boxes I'd pick up, I'm like, Jesus Christ! Imagine someone taking this on the highway. A 20-foot container, 120,000 pounds.
I'll still say that cargo insurance should be capped at 50,000 or whatever. Cargo insurance should be capped at 50,000. If you want your shit hauled, you got to cover the rest of the insurance as a manufacturer.
Hey, Bill, Bill, to your point about the scales, I mean, within that 20, 30 mile range, that driver takes one right-hand turn heavy on the left side. That's going over. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
you got to stop that stuff before that happens, and it's up to the driver. The driver is responsible. If I was a driver, there's no way I would move that trailer. Seeing it list on there and being like, say, 4 inches off the left drive wheels and 18 inches off the right. I mean, you're looking at disaster in the making.
So
all you gotta do is go on Instagram and just see these guys hauling Amazon containers out in Los Angeles.
Right?
They're just flipping over on the highway left and right. It's good time to be a wrecker out there.
I fortunately haven't had one of the examples you just gave yet. So fortunately, I haven't been involved in one of those. And they would be far more obvious. When you look at, in this case, the one example I gave you, which took place 5 years ago, by the way, when the shipper came back, not only did they pay all the bills, but they apologized on an email because their normal guy was on vacation that week. They believed that they had cross-trained this other individual, but in the meantime, he loaded the truck incorrectly. So it wasn't like it was listing in any direction or anything else, but as soon as you hit the scale, you could see that pipe was loaded incorrectly and how much weight was on the wrong spot. So, those are the things that we want to try, to your point, and dispense, like manufacturers, going back to it, shippers should understand their freight and loading before it comes down to just the common denominator of a driver. Correct. And if the driver's skill set is lowering across North America, why are we putting so much onus on them for the loading in the first place?
Yeah.
Are they really the experts on that?
It just seems like over the years, trucking companies and drivers, independents, it just seems like more and more of these ridiculous costs are being just shoved towards them, and they've got to bear everything. It's insane. I mean, they're barely making enough money as it is now, but now you're going to keep loading them up, and now you're getting ready to increase their insurance to $2 million maybe, and it's just, I don't know. It's like, when's enough?
I wanted to segue.
Rates aren't coming up to help offset all that stuff, that increase in cost.
Oh, no. Ask Pedro. Rates are through the roof.
Nah, well, not enough.
Oh no, they're fucking through the roof, bro.
He's a little sore.
Yeah, they're through the roof. They're through the roof.
Well, it's been fun, but I gotta go. My brother-in-law needs help throwing that couch.
See, I was literally trying to segue into the discussion of the week, and here you are leaving.
Have fun in AC.
Later, J Mark.
We'll
see you next week, bro. Be good.
He was the subject matter expert, and now he's leaving. So here we are. Now we just have to bullshit.
Who's gonna fill in?
So, I mean, it's going to be tough, but let's talk about the follow-up 60 Minutes report on CBS News Sunday morning, talking about broker liability.
Yeah.
That was an interesting expose. I wish Rob was here to talk about it more, because if there's anybody that's truly the SME, that would be him. But
I can reach out to him, or Pedro, or somebody can see if he can come on next week and we can chat about it.
Yeah, I will.
You guys want, let's reach out and let's get, Pedro knows him well as well, but let's get Rob on, because I'd love to hear the celebrity speak anyways about it and stuff.
Yeah, he kind of talked about it a little bit yesterday. He was on 10-4's podcast.
Right.
I don't know the guy who runs it, but my buddy Brandon Carpenter co-hosts it. So he was on there yesterday. They were talking about that stuff, man. It was a fire conversation. I'm not going to get into it because I'd rather people go to 10-4's page on Facebook and go watch their show yesterday. But they had Rob Carpenter on with them. Brandon Carpenter, he's a truck builder, truck driver, and the 10-4 guy, I'm not sure what his background is, but they had a fantastic conversation about a lot of that ego stuff and a lot about compliance and all this stuff going down, the ramifications that could happen from this, the ramifications that likely aren't going to happen for this. So that's a really good topic, a really good conversation to have.
So when you look at it, what I found interesting watching, and of course, looking at this, when I was looking at it, and I ran into a bunch of the dispatch services back in 2023. So, there was a bunch of them that turned out they were connected to me on LinkedIn, but I wrote an article on illegal dispatch services, with Dale Prax. After that, it was amazing to see how many of them certainly want to jump off my network, but were DMing me first to say, they're not illegal, they're not this, they're not that. Eagle, at the end of the day, is an illegal dispatch service.
Yeah.
They not only brought in cheap freight, but they attacked the drivers and they created a real challenge. So one of the things that, again, when we talk about the positives, Dale, the freight fraud czar, all the people that have been fighting fraud for all these years, seeing at this stage now that the Lila law does have that slipped in illegal dispatch services now overseas. If that does get passed, like we're all pushing for and hoping it will, that will certainly help curtail, I think, a lot of the problems. And that's going to involve even some of the biggest companies in North America that have agents over there. They're going to be deemed illegal at some point, is the hope. And if that happens, I think that will resolve a lot of cheap freight challenges, especially when the one guy, Dale, is ousted right now, received Businessman of the Year and made $1 billion in the last 6 years on trucking in North America, but basically has no input or investment in North America at all. You know, why is that?
Yeah, the biggest problem, though, right now is inconsistent verification across the board. It is not consistent, and it needs to be consistent. And I feel really strongly, and I did put a petition out there, and I got a transportation lawyer backing on it. TWIC expansion. I got my TWIC card, okay, and I wrote it pretty damn good, because if a couple of attorneys, said that it's precise, that would curtail most of the fraudulent activities. Because when you get your TWIC card, you have to be there in person. Fingerprints. They do the complete background check with IDEMIA. They do not. They turn every stone over. All right, and they verify that you're a citizen. I had to bring my passport. I had to bring my license. All verification. Now, a TWIC card stands for a Transportation Worker Identification Credential.
Card.
Okay, anybody look at the definition of a transportation worker. We all here are transportation workers because at some point we touch and move, organize, control everything that has to do with freight. That falls under a TWIC card, and I'm glad that I got it. I have nothing to hide, but that would certainly push a lot of the bad guys out. Absolutely, without any doubt. And I'm going to submit that to the state of New Jersey. And
I just wonder why. I wonder why TWIC cards were always, just basically allocated to port. Like,
well, that's just it. I mean, they'll protect it at the port, but once it goes through that gate, that perimeter comes down.
Right. But I know, but when they come out with TWIC,
that's where the inconsistency comes from. Spencer, that's where the inconsistency, that verification stops at that gate once they set up.
But you would think they would have expanded it all the way across to the spectrum of transportation like that. It just wouldn't have stopped there at the gate like that. It just somebody just didn't forward think on that deal.
Right, it's stupid when you think about it. But listen, it would suppress fraud, but it's not the end all. It's
not going to 100% eliminate it, but it's going to it's going to cause a dent in it. It's going to help.
Huge dent. It'll put a huge dent in it. Absolutely.
Because the bad elements are always going to find a workaround. They always do.
It's kind of hard with that.
But I think the TWIX card Dale's been politely pushing, screaming. There's been a lot of changes at FMCSA since 2023. But it does seem this time around, they're really listening. Barr is really listening to Dale with respect to the TWIC card. Mm-hmm. I do think it would stop 60 to 70% of freight right at source, because now the illegals would not be able to get the MC numbers as easily. Spencer, to your point, it's not going to stop all fraud and URL damaging and cargo theft. But if we can stop the bad actors and cheap freight from getting on in the first place, people overseas.
That's a good starting point.
That would be a great way to reduce a large portion of it, so I do agree. And getting back to the initial question and the buzz that everybody's talking about, broker transparency. Adam, it's a great subject and topic. I know I follow Leffler on this because, never mind, he's one of the smarter people with respect to it. He's very excitable and he loves discussing it. Mm-hmm. It's interesting to see how it continues to go forward under this, because the reality of the day is, are they going to go to every broker in every business? Are you going to start going to every other business to say, what are your margins? What is your transparency? Are we going to start going to grocers and saying, okay, well, you're reporting billions in profits every quarter. Well, now we want transparency. So
I was talking about safety, but yes, I think broker transparency is bullshit.
Right. So I'm just saying, if they continue to push and they continue to do that from the carrier level, I don't think it's going to be able to be traction, because the lawyer, the one that spoke already with respect to it, he's correct. How far are you going to go with this? If this passes and goes through trucking, then it can go through every other aspect of business, then that people can start asking for transparency.
Well, what
Yeah,
happened?
100%. I can ask my butcher how much markup he has on my steak.
Correct.
It's none of my business.
Yeah,
do I want the steak or do I not want the steak?
Correct.
Okay. So when I was an account management executive, right, we had a cost plus model. Okay, the prospects, the clients knew what our upcharge was. All right, it was cost plus our percentage on top, right? And
I have that with many of my customers.
Well, it's the same thing. You're being transparent. You're telling them exactly, hey, maybe it might be volume based incentive. You give me X, I'll give you Y as a floater, or however you want to use it. But that cost plus model could be used on that side when you look at transparency, because most of us do that anyway, and they know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
So Jeff, like Adam, we still write our company from an asset standpoint. At this point, with the changes in the economy, 80% of our assets run a cost plus model and have since 2018. So other than fuel, because of the Russian war, and COVID, because of the wages for the frontline workers, they went up for a temporary period. But again, it was all transparent to the company, and our margin was on top of what was already approved, and they can audit us anytime they wish, and they certainly do at times. But for the most part, everything is so transparent that they understand that.
Well,
the transparency came up because of
each individual state
they're posting huge margins, and one big 3-letter company that was posting huge margins. But what people didn't realize, when you actually break it down and look at it, they were still in the wrong, by the way. But when the big 3-letter company was brought under that audit on that case, the margin on the actual load was only 18%. They made 40% because they didn't pay any of the accessorials to the carrier. That's flat out wrong.
Right. That should be a complete pass-through. I mean, when you think, we've always said that, it's like right now we have an emergency fuel surcharge on that. So we've got fuel plus base plus fuel on that. It's temporary, right? Because we got contracted rates that are in place. So in order to take care of the carriers and do things right, you have to talk to your clients and saying, hey, this isn't my fault. This isn't your fault. This isn't the carrier's fault. It's the federal fault. It's the federal government's fault. They're the ones that raised all the gas prices and everything. This is just the pass-through, So, I mean, those are the kind of things with transparency that, you should have those conversations with your prospects and clients about, because that's being trustworthy.
Transparency with your clients is one thing. Transparency with a vendor is totally different. It's bullshit. That trucker has no more business knowing how much money I make than a man in the moon. They're making money. They need to know how to run their business. If they don't know their cost per mile and how to be profitable, that's not my fault.
Right. I agree with that. I agree, because you know what? If you tell them, for instance, right, when you're negotiating with the carrier or whatever, and you tell them the lane and they come back to you and they go 1,000, but you're willing to pay 1,600, whose fault is that? They're the ones that you're like, hey, okay, fine. That's
me being the person I am.
Your fault.
Me being the person I am, I'm going to come back and say, listen, I can do 1,250. Right? Like, I'm still going to make a decent profit, but I'm also not going to rip a carrier off, because you see what's happening right now. Like, we are struggling for trucks because so many have gone out of business because of all this ELP and illegal CDL bullshit
and non-domicile and all that kind of good stuff.
Like, it has hammered our market. Pedro, I saw Sage yesterday talking about the driver shortage on the lounge.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm like, he's not wrong. Like,
No. Well, I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, I wouldn't say he's. I don't know, man. I wouldn't say he's not wrong, but here's the thing: is like, I wouldn't consider like it a so much. I don't know. I guess it'd be potato. I was going to say a driver shortage. You could say truck shortage, but same, right? Yeah. I don't know. I can't say it. I mean, here's the thing though. Is there's always been more freight than there's been trucks. Like that's the thing. It's kind of a weird deal. Like we say there's not a driver shortage, but there's never enough trucks to move the freight that we have sitting on docks across this country. It's been that way. I don't know, probably forever. I'd have to ask Jeff and Bill how far back that goes because they've been in this long.
Back when the horses and buggies picked up the freight.
you know what I mean, Adam. You know what I mean. So yeah, it is a weird conundrum and stuff. But yeah, I don't know what to say about it, dude. I really don't. I don't want to.
It's beyond frustrating, like because now. We kind of look slightly incompetent to shippers because they don't realize what has actually happened.
Nope.
And they're like, why can't you cover my freight? Dude, there's no trucks. That's why I can't cover your freight. Yeah. It doesn't matter how much money I put out there. I've got legal loads paying $5 a mile. I cannot find trucks.
Mm-hmm.
So $5 a mile for a legal load right now, 6 months ago, you would have wanted the funny.
I know you. I know that's
you would have lost every customer in your freaking book if you suggested $5 a mile to move a load.
It's crazy.
And now $5 a mile is not moving the needle.
Yeah.
Especially, man.
I don't like this driver shortage because I mean it kind of just paves the way for like more autonomous trucks, which I'm not really a fan of. I've not bought into it yet.
I'll never buy it. I'll never buy into that.
I just don't trust it yet.
No, there is no yet. There is no yet. Remove that word from your vocabulary on this subject.
I will never
fucking
trust
never.
We don't
need
need
brokers because you don't have a driver to pay
everything
anymore.
Americans do.
Yeah.
I'm
not a. Oh man, don't get me started.
Yeah, well, I know, right? Tell him, man, don't get me a Patreon started on this shit.
Hang on. As I've decided to think of the moniker of AI Build, so Spence, you're not thrilled at the fact of having AI driving trucks around the United States?
No, not with 45,000 pounds on it. I mean, it's probably going to be like a plane.
I don't care if the damn truck is empty. I don't care. Let's be honest. Who cares if the truck is? I don't give a shit if it's a bobtail with no trailer.
Yeah.
We ain't got no business with any commercial vehicle being on the road driven by a robot. Let's go a step further. We ain't got no business because here's one that I've seen and I ran across the article and I should have saved it and I didn't because I wanted to talk about it on the lounge yesterday. But I've even seen one now. There is a company looking for funding. They want to do trucks basically like drones do the military. Guy sitting in a fucking simulator driving a truck down the highway.
Yeah.
From an office.
Did you ever see the ports and the container movers? That they're all autonomous.
But that's different. But that's different. Who you're gonna? I hate to say it. You're gonna hurt. You're gonna hurt 15, 10 people, one fucking person. You know what I mean? If some things go bad,
I struggle with. So now, is autonomous trucks a good idea for like? In a shipping yard, maybe moving trailers here and there. Maybe that's fine. Maybe that.
Yeah, it's working. It's working on the West Coast ports. I mean, it does help alleviate some of the human error or the human vulnerabilities.
I'm just saying on the open road because in those yards, I'll say this and I'll let you. In those yards,
driving around inside the ports.
But it's not. It's not even that. It's not even that. Here's the thing with that. In those ports and in areas, even on a shipping yard, right? When you go in there. And you go through that gate, they tell you speed limit's 10 miles an hour. Don't do this. Don't do this. Don't do this. You do this, you will never come back here again. Point is that it's easier to control that environment, right? With all the things going on, It is a secluded space. It's easy to control everything that goes on there. When you're on the highway, you can't, before someone gets on the road, you can't have a cop standing there at the on-ramp. Hey, there's going to be autonomous trucks on here, so you can't do A, B, C, D, E, and all this. So that's the thing. It's the variable out in the you can't control what goes on with the motoring public.
Well, you got
is
a
part of
guy,
the issue too.
You got a guy going down the highway with his family or whatever. There's a medical event. Somebody has a heart attack at the wheel, or somebody makes her. The good thing about a driver, you can kind of. It's like when I taught my girls how to drive. I said, always look at the front tires. Pay attention to the front tires because that tells you everything which way that car is going to go. But
have that, or are you still
You know,
waiting on
an autonomous truck is not going to be able to,
On the rate confirmation.
anticipate what another car on the road is going to do. A human can kind of anticipate, right? What that car is doing, how it's moving, how it's driving, and if something happens, and I just, I think you need to have a human element. I'm just not a fan of, autonomous trucks and robots driving, a truck with 48,000 pounds on it going down the road. That's a fucking missile.
I think we're still a ways away from that, and I think the chat.
It's going to have to play out in the courts. My thing is, it's going to have to play out in the courts. There's going to have to be some unfortunate deaths, and it's going to have to be completely 100% hijack proof from a dude over in another country hijacking that truck and driving it into a building or whatever. There's a lot that's going to have to be worked out. And I'm sure there's a lot of that kind of stuff being played out right now with it, but I don't know. I don't trust it. It's like, why? I mean, I get, they're wanting to increase profits. I get, eliminate the driver, but you're eliminating a driver, you're eliminating a job. And there's all this stuff on the news about AIs replacing jobs. Now, a lot of that's white collar, but, and with these, but I'm just not a big fan of putting people out of work like that on a mass scale, and that's exactly what's kind of happening.
Know who you can blame that on, Spencer? The Jetsons.
AI Bill.
Yeah.
The Jetsons.
Yeah.
And of course, I know Pedro and everybody's teasing me because at the end of the day, I don't like AI replacing jobs in our industry and other industries. When you look at the comments I make to the AI guys online, when I do actually step out once in a while, because I'm not as active as I once was. But as I say to, companies like the largest food company in the world has announced, they're going to eliminate 265,000 jobs globally because of AI. Yeah. So my reply was, great. Who's going to buy your products? AI doesn't purchase anything and they're not a consumer. So if we do eliminate all these jobs with AI, and it's not actually managed and controlled properly and rolled out too quickly, who's going to be the consumer at the end of the day? And without consumers, economies don't generate revenue. And without consumers, it does not generate trucking and transport. Mm-hmm. So I think in a controlled environment, like Pedro, Chad, and Jeff shared inside of that ports, and we actually see them fully working, and I've now seen 3 of them at this point, and how they work with the dray now on these containers with these autonomous movers, it's very slick and very cool. Yeah. So it does work, I think, in certain environments. But again, to get it onto a road, there's one thing people are forgetting about, because we're already starting to see companies have implemented AI, have now made another level of fraud available to the fraudsters. Well, think about it this way. What happens if AI, autonomous trucks, if that system is hacked from somebody overseas and they start taking control of the system, you could have mayhem. But nobody slows down with this AI to say, what happens if they hack the system?
Right. So, I want to touch on another interesting thing here with the where AI is touching the transportation sector that a lot of people, including myself, didn't think about until my wife and I went to Vegas a few weeks ago. And one of the first things we saw when we picked up our rental car is we saw the Waymo vehicles, and I think they're called Zoom. It's XOOM. But we saw all those things going around, and my wife was like, "Say, babe, what are those? That Google cars?" And I was like, "No." I was like, "They're route surveyors for the autonomous vehicles." I was like, "There are people in those, and they drive around the city through every nook and cranny constantly so they update the system and stuff." And anyway, we took taxis and Ubers the rest of the times when we had the car one day. But we talked to one of the taxi drivers, and we're just having a conversation about him about, like, how has Uber affected you and Lyft and these autonomous vehicles. And the guy had said that, like, since they rolled out the Waymos and these Zooms in Vegas, like it took a humongous hit to the taxi drivers and the Uber and the Lyft people and all those. Like, the guy was, and we met several people that, like, they'll be a taxi driver during the day and then do Uber at night because that's the only way they can make their money, or vice versa. So it's crazy. Like, it is there. AI is attacking the transportation industry at every single level. And if you don't think Uber and Lyft and all those people aren't part of the logistics industry, and they fucking are. They're transporting people and they're transporting goods and stuff for you from the store and all that stuff. So they're including this, but though they are being hit with it worse because the laws are already there for them, right? All the studies, all the shit is already out. There's nothing stopping them from taking over that industry. And I mean, we're next, dude. We are next. The Zooms, the Waymos, all of those were the first step. And now we're next.
We're not next. We're not next. Uber Freight's going to go out of business. I'm faithful.
I mean, the thing is,
God is on my side.
Well, I should say they're coming for us next. How about that? I mean, that's
fair.
Well, people argue about, okay, well, if AI replaces jobs, then those people can go get another job and learn another career. Well, yeah, they can, but if you got a guy that's been a driver or doing whatever job and making 80, 100, 120,000, whatever the number is, they're not going to just go out and go get another job making that same kind of money to replace that. It's just not going to happen. They got to learn another career. They got to learn. That takes time to build back up to that. So, you've got that gap. So it's just, I mean, listen, I mean, AI is really cool in certain things, like, but there's got to be a limit on how far we're going to take this thing. And when you start trying to replace, truckers and other jobs that are tied to the economy like that, and those people, that's all they know. I mean, some of those drivers grew up on farms, driving the family farm truck, and now they become over the road drivers, and but that's all they know. They can't just go out and become an electrician. They can't become a welder. They can't go out here and freaking become a market advertised designer or whatever. They can't just go and do that.
Yeah,
that's
and the people that the generation, the even larger part of that problem is the ones that they're really replacing are like our age, my age demographic and above, up to like you guys, you Spencer and you Bill. Like, I mean, I'll be 42 in a few months. What the fuck am I going to do if I had to completely retrain in a job, find a completely new career, something I know nothing about, start at the bottom all over again? It's like, that. I agree with you, man. It is. And people who say that is, I mean, I don't even know what to say, but this is the world we live in, man. This is the tech thing. And these tech people, they just think that everyone can be a tech person like them. And that's the solution. And then they just want to eliminate
not
stuff.
Everybody's wired for that. Not everybody's wired for that. And
it's also, and a bigger part of this problem is that, like, I feel like a lot of people aren't seeing is like, if we all have kids here, and I don't know if y'all have ever seen the movie, I think it's Wall-E, but if you haven't, go watch it, and it's all those people in a spaceship just floating around on chairs. Mm-hmm. They're all fat as all get out. And my point is we are pushing our society to nothing but laziness. Oh, if I don't want to do it, I'll just write a program that'll do it for me. You know what I mean? I mean, it's with everything. Like we are literally trying to take humans to the point that we just sit around and watch soap operas and Jerry Springer reruns all day.
Creating
whoa. Jerry Springer reruns.
That's exactly what it's doing. It's creating a society of unthinkers.
Let's not hurt feelings. That's how Chad gets his education.
Jerry Springer.
True.
Oh man. Anyway, guys, I'm about to have to trail it down here because I got a bunch of stuff I got to do.
Let's do
that I need to focus on and stuff. So, we'll start with you, Bill. Before you get out of here, final words, broski.
I guess right now at this point, I'm going to continue to follow all the other aspects of it. I do agree with what's discussed here. I think AI is moving too quickly, and it will ultimately hurt people. I think it's positive if a doctor can use AI to find out an illness or a health thing faster, but in certain applications right now, it is going to hurt people. I'm hoping, obviously, there's a resolution that comes sooner than later to bring fuel back down and everything else. I can share at least our fuel on FCA, which is different than DOE, but it dropped 3%. It's only at 87% now, which is really hard to choke down and say. So I'm hoping it continues downward because it really is hurting our industry and shippers.
Mm-hmm. Adam.
Man, I got nothing. I'm over here just firing away, covering loads.
All right.
Actually, having some luck today, Pedro.
Your coffee cup is coming. Just by the way, it's been shipped out.
Yeah. Well, I'll believe it when I get a tracking number.
I'll give it to you. All right,
exactly. See, JR said it. Thank you, JR. Exactly. I didn't even catch the comment. JR said, Wally, that's right. Chad, what
JR,
you got?
you don't have that much hair. That's misadvertisement.
What about you, Chad?
It's a great conversation today. As always, no plugs, just stay positive, spread positive, and find your gratitude.
And Chad's going to go to roaddogcoffee.com and get a subscription.
I need one of these PMA hats, Chad.
Yeah, those hats are dope, Chad.
Yeah.
Thank you. My these were actually made on a whim. My wife made them. We had the setup in the garage. She does t-shirts, hats, all types of merch. She does all my merch.
Oh, well, cool. Tell her to make two more, and Adam and I will send you our addresses.
That's right.
and we'll sell you $20 because homies pay for homie shit.
I'll do it. But no, I took the boys to Charleston right after Christmas, and my older son loves military. He loves current, he loves history, military, and so that's what we focused on the weekend in Charleston. And he wanted a camouflage hat to wear around, and he absolutely loves PMA, because of the mission. He doesn't care what we do, but it's the mission behind what we do. And so she just randomly made these hats, and it turned out to be my favorite hat that we have. And there's a dozen PMA hats.
Yeah, what's the mission to do? Make money, right?
Yeah, bro. Duh. No, you need to bring him down to what? I think it might be. I think it's just south of Daytona, but they've got the 8th Air Force Museum.
Yes. Yeah. So we've looked at a bunch. There's some up in New York I like to go to. Not that I want to go to New York, but I have like a 4.5-hour driving range, and I don't like flying. So Charleston pretty much caps out the distance in which I'm willing to drive.
They make these things called trains.
Yeah.
There's
a lot of that stuff around North Carolina, Fort Bragg. You got Cherry Point on the Jacksonville. There's a lot of that stuff to see. But
we got the Battle of Guilford Courthouse right here, 10 minutes from the house. We took him to that. It was awesome. So it's but so made on a whim there.
Cool.
It's mighty American of you, Chad.
Yeah,
teaching your child the history of American violence.
What have you got, Pedro?
What do I got? Wonderful show. Second on what Chad said. This is a great conversation, man. I love it, man. This is a good one. And I'm only going to say this because we're about to end the show because Adam won't have fucking time to do it. But for one show, we didn't go political at all. Boom, love it. We actually talked all trucking and stuff and fucking.
We talked about Gavin Newsom and the gubernatorial debate.
That wasn't too bad. But we had this is a great conversation. What else do I got? No show tomorrow on the Logistics Lounge. Mr. Hound is in Vegas celebrating his birthday. He is the big 3-2. Oh, what a big, he's a big boy now.
He's 32 again.
I fucking know, right? I know, right? All right. Next week, I don't know. Next week, just watch the Logistics Lounge and
poor Bill. Bill, do you remember what it was like to be 32? Does your memory go back that far?
You asshole.
You're lucky, Bill isn't. First thing Bill ever does when he meets Adam is going to nut check Adam. Finally, talk about shows coming up. Represent some truck shows. 2 weeks, Large Cars and Guitars, Bristol, Tennessee. That is put on by Tony Justice, Bennett Family of Companies, Food Lion, a whole bunch of great folks involved in that. I think it's Food Lion is what's on the fucking flyer. I will pull up the flyer right now.
Food Fair.
Okay.
No.
It's Food Lion. It's Pedro's right. Just be quiet for a minute, Spencer. Okay.
Let the adults talk, Spencer.
Yeah, let the adults talk. Anyway, Large Cars, Guitars, Bristol, Tennessee.
That's it. Food City.
Food City, not Food Line. You're right. Okay, I'm right. Food City. There you go. Same difference. Okay.
Anyway.
Bow
to me, boy.
Are they owned by the same company?
Yeah, probably. Anyway, all right. So, Large Cars, Guitars, Bristol, Tennessee, 2 weeks, May 8th and 9th. Websites, largecarsandguitars.com. Go sign up. And then in about a month and a week from now, Wheel Jam Truck Show in Huron, South Dakota. That's going to be a massive event, 4 days long. They got all kinds of car things, truck things, dynamic engine brake contest. Just going to be a hoot and hollering good time. That is June 4th through 7th in Huron, South Dakota.
South Dakota on purpose?
Oh, bro, I've heard this show. Dude, I have heard this show is freaking bad ass, dude. Like, I mean, we weren't planning on going to it, and because we had other shows booked, but someone canceled, and then as soon as they finally canceled, we had a slew of people DMing us like, you guys got to go to Wheel Jam, you got to go to Wheel Jam, you got to go to Wheel Jam, and boom, we made it happen. Will Jam even actually invited us, so they're going to take care of us. So shout out to Will Jam Truck Show. And I want to say one final thing. With Will Jam, they are a nonprofit, right? They are a charity, so the proceeds from this show go back into the trucking community to help drivers, their families, and all kinds of folks in the trucking family. So support's a really good thing. So does Large Cars and Guitars, might I add. That's all I got. That's all I got. What you got, Spence?
That was a lot, though.
It was a fucking lot. It was
a mouthful.
It was a mouthful. It would have been quick if Spence would have shut up.
Oh, what? Yeah, don't blame me. I've already been blamed enough in my life. Yeah, Large Cars and Guitars, a couple of weeks. Road Dog Coffee and Road Dog Cigar Company will be there. We'll have the Bandit hanging out in the booth with the Trans Am, signing the Smokey the Bandit coffee bags. We're also going to be launching Tony Justice's Last of the Cowboys coffee called Trail Blend. It's not snack mix. It is actually dark roast coffee.
Bro, you need to bring RDCC to Break Bulk.
Yeah.
You do, seriously. Like, you're going to
have... Houston?
Yes, sir.
I was supposed to go last year. I think I'm going to be going this year.
Hey, Pedro is going with me. I go almost every year.
I am, bro. It's on my calendar. I'm excited about it. It's already on my calendar, bro.
So Chad, just come with us, and we're gonna get an Airbnb. So
yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
Good in that. I have a few customers that go to Break Bulk and a couple of vendors as well. So I want to get down there. I move a ton of freight. I got a 60,000 pound piece, 60-foot long, moving North Carolina to Seattle, Washington this weekend. And I really want to start mingling with those folks.
Don't do that, Chad. Just
do it, Chad.
And you didn't see that.
Do it, Chad.
I don't know what y'all are talking about.
Guys, be safe, be happy.
Later, Bill. Have a good one, broski.
Thanks.
Yeah, everybody be good out there. Yeah. Stay caffeinated. Go to Road Dog Coffee.
Hey, I'm apparently on TikTok Diner in an hour and a half. So if you're bored, come watch it.
Are you on TikTok Diner today?
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'll be there.
Oh, cool. Awesome. I'll go watch it. I need to find out who his new co-host is since Jeff left.
He doesn't have one.
Oh, really? Interesting. I figured he would.
I heard he was going to hire Pedro Patel.
No, he ain't. No, Pedro ain't trying to fucking do no more shows. And Peyton, no. If I do more shows, I just want to be in the background doing production. That is honestly my next goal, is to just bring more shows, but like not me be on screen with it.
Yeah,
so I'm showed out, man.
See how it is.
No, but I want to do okay, hold on, let me back up. The only other show I plan on doing is my morning show with you, Adam. Whenever you and I get that together and get that off the ground. That's the only thing I want to do.
Knocked out.
Yeah, bro. I mean, seriously, that is the only other show that I plan to personally be a constant part of is the show me and you want to do together.
If Chad will give me some freight, I can afford to pay for the extended licenses.
All right, so that's all we got. We're going to be we're going to be out of here, I guess.
We'll be back bright and early.
Yeah. Y'all all have a good one. Have a wonderful rest of your Thursday, a great rest of the week, and a splendid weekend whenever you get to it. So I always say, chunk them deuces, and Pedro will roll this beautiful bean footage.